How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lo4f, and today I'm going to go and do a bit of a simple mission. It's only a mission this time, not a contract. It's called Supply Chain, and I'm going to go and take this Tatra Force thing with me. I'm on the Heartlands map, and I've got to go and get a trailer, basically, rescue that from the river, and then bring it back just to kind of down the road from the garage again. Yeah, there's a trailer there in the river. I went past it the other week, I suppose, now with the P16 when I was whatever the hell I was up to with that. And yeah, going to kind of follow the normal way across, cut over the countryside instead of following the long road round. Get that out the river. This is actually a road, but I kind of hid it pretty well with the marker thing there. And then yeah, just fly across the field and drop it down there. That's the only one thing I would say about some of these missions and maps and everything. They seem like a couple of the drop-off locations are sort of in the same place. I've dropped one, if not two, of the missions of like required stuff that's just down the road from the garage. It's not the end of the world. It just sort of you end up looping past the same sections, really. But yeah, I kind of wanted to take this truck out because I was using it the other day when I attempted to. Was it the other day or was it yesterday? I can't. Losing me marbles. Yeah, I tried to use it with the kind of recovery body thing at the back and rescue Bruce, but it didn't go too well. I think it was yesterday. I had a crap night's sleep again. I was like falling asleep 2 or 3 times, so it feels like I've skipped ahead a day or two. Yeah, it didn't go too well with this truck, so I ended up taking the Dolphin, and that thing sorted it out. But yeah, I kind of wanted to take this out and abandon the whole idea of the recovery thing at the back because it's just too faffy and. I was going to say over-engineered, but it's not really. It's kind of sucks for how big it is. That's what she said. And I don't know, it just doesn't work very well. But as I drove this vehicle, and it seemed to do alright on the mission, apart from the fact that it wouldn't lift Bruce and kind of keep its own wheels on the ground. So yeah, I just wanted an excuse to go and take it out, really. And then while I was kind of re-equipping it tonight, I put the roof rack on it, which is pretty cool that it's got one. I think it's a pretty decently sized roof rack as well. I'm sure, if I remember correctly, it's about 300 repair points, which yeah, is the size of the Lo4f roof rack. And yeah, that's not bad overall. I think the Zik 605R's got a bigger roof rack, but considering it's not like the biggest roof on this thing, it could have been a lot worse. I think quite a few things give you sort of 150 repair points and stuff. And for whatever reason, there's no reason in particular, I'll just put the crane on it. I've not used this crane. I kind of, well, after using it tonight as well, I'm not a massive fan of this crane. The reason I ended up equipping it on this is because on the Tatra Phoenix, which out of the 2 vehicles, this and the Tatra Phoenix, I much prefer the Phoenix. It's got the high range gearbox, it just feels like it's got way more torque and low end power and all the rest of it. But you can't equip the crane. I'm just calling it like the medium crane, even though I think it kind of still belongs in the category of small cranes. It clearly looks like just fatter than the normal cranes, but on the Tatra Phoenix, it won't let you have like the sideboard bed, like a bit of a unique one on these, and the crane. You kind of have to pick either or. Whereas just when I was scrolling through on this one, it actually let me have both of them. So I just figured I'd see what it's like, see if it actually like what the truck drives like and all the rest of it. And as I'm driving along, I know it's partly this thing because I've got the advanced special gearbox in it. And someone was saying in the comments as well, and I agree. Again, apologies for the comment. I need to just get like a nice few-hour window where I can just reply to a load of them. I fell behind a little bit. I don't know. It's like I don't know, like top-end power, but yeah, everything feels particularly nerfed. Like when you start getting up into the higher end of the gears and all the rest of it. I think they were saying it with the Tega, which I agree. Compared to way back in the day, say when I did the review video. Everything feels like it's kind of been knocked down a bit. We've sort of said it before, kind of each phase they seem to just take the edge off everything a little bit. But yeah, particularly with this phase, I've kind of noticed it in the last week or so that it feels like it's dialed it up a little bit more. So I don't know if they've done some kind of like stealth update in the background. Like possibly because the maps are quite free flowing in theory. They might have kind of just, yeah, done a secret nerf to make everything feel like it's going a bit slower. Apologies for that bloody truck or something that's pulling in on my driveway. I swear, if I set up like a little a little toll bridge on my bloody driveway for everyone that turns round on it, I'd be raking it in. There's yeah, so I always have to have a little nosy, see what's going on. But yeah, they're always bloody turning around on it. Yeah, so I don't know if they've done like a bit of a stealth nerf in the background, but when they did the kind of update a week or two ago, where actually you had to properly update it and everything, there was a couple of bugs that happened, and there's a few different things going on in the game. And I've not noticed them as much recently, but we haven't had, I believe anyway, like a proper update. It's not asked me to do one. But I'm pretty damn certain that they kind of do little background updates where it will just sort of download it automatically and not actually make you download like a whole new version. And yeah, I could be wrong, could just be kind of paranoia that they keep taking me bloody torque away from the vehicles, but at the high end, even on the roads though as well, which I can kind of get it maybe on the dirt roads, particularly on this phase, because they're pretty brutal, but in a nice way. They still feel pretty organic about it. But yeah, even driving along like the tarmac roads and all that, they're just, I don't know, there's no like power there. They always feel like they're about to throw in the towel and just drop back down the gears. And to be fair, it never really did, but again, that's on a road, so it shouldn't really be doing that anyway. A little bit awkward there, almost tipped, but to be fair, it didn't quite go. I think it was pretty close though. Which when I drove this vehicle doing that mission to rescue Bruce, this vehicle actually did pretty well in not tipping and all the rest of it. That was part of the reason why I wanted to use it today, because I knew I was going to kind of cut across the countryside and jump down that hill, although it wasn't as brutal as I remember. And yeah, for no apparent reason, I could have just stuck the winch on it now, but I was curious to try this crane. And for some reason, when I was trying to move the crane back towards the trailer, it kept just flying down into the floor like that. So I edited that bit because I was just messing around and trying to see what's going on. I really don't know why. Every time I tried to like extend the crane or move it back, it just kept going towards the floor. Pretty odd. And yeah, long story short, I mean, you can see it's just pretty gutless, this crane. Considering the size, it looks pretty decent, like it'd actually be able to handle something. I don't think this trailer's that heavy. It's not a trailer we normally get, to be honest. It's kind of like that, well, I assume it probably weighs the same as like the trailer we do get. With like where it's got posts sticking up on the sides. This has just got like a curtain side thing wrapped around it, but you can see now, I'm at this point, by the way, I'm trying to retract the crane in, I'm trying to lift it up, trying to move it over to the left. It was just having none of it. So just to kind of show you that it's a little bit sketchy, I was trying to lift the Lo4f earlier when I was starting this video, and it moved it at first, then it stopped, and it couldn't lift it, but that at the time I was kind of holding, I believe, triangle to like retract the cable in, and trying to lift it up at the same time, and it was just, yeah, having none of it. So out of all the, well, I sort of count this as, again, a medium crane, but put it in with a bunch of other little cranes is not that great. I don't think the blue and the yellow crane is either. The only little crane I think is decent is the KRS Bandit crane, which is pretty damn solid, that one. It's a shame, like, clearly it's doable to make it work pretty well, but they never usually do. But I kind of had higher hopes for this crane, considering it looks more hefty. And yeah, in the end, just gave up on that because it couldn't even. All I wanted to do was grab the front of the trailer and just spin the trailer around. It's not like I was trying to carry the whole bloody thing back to the where I got to drop it off. So yeah, in the end, did the winch point, and obviously a bit of truck power worked a lot better. But of course, the trailer tipped over. And from many hours of experience, just keep flooring it, keep it pinned, fingers crossed. I was actually just going to try and get it out of the river, and I was going to go and reverse into it, but then thankfully, I think that's one of the few cases where that dolly axle thing does kind of help. It starts to sort of dig into the mud a bit and rotate and kind of flicked it back over to its wheels. So yeah, that's that one in the bag. And then now I've got to just cut back across here, fly across the farm, and drop it off. And like I said, it was just in the end a little a chance to go and test this truck. And yeah, I can't decide if they've kind of nerfed everything a little bit, if this truck's always been a little bit meh, or if I just really don't get along too well with the, I don't know, it's the advanced special gearbox, and in various vehicles I quite like that. In the Zik 605R, it feels like it works pretty nicely, but at least with the Ziks, it's got bigger wheels, so for each rotation of the wheel you travel further, so it sort of feels like it's got a bit of a quicker pace. Yeah, I wasn't too keen about going through it. So to be fair, I was in high gear, and sometimes that can wheel spin a bit. But again, the other week or whatever, when I was driving the P16 through here, I'm pretty sure that was handling it better than this is. And I do like the P16s. One thing I've always liked about it is it feels like it's weighted properly, so it actually feels like you're driving a big fat truck around, and it just tends to plant itself into the ground pretty well. But obviously it's not all-wheel drive and all the rest of it. It's also its suspension setup and all the rest of it is kind of like an oversized highway truck. And yeah, I think even that handled it through here a lot better. And that's only got like 2 axles, 4 wheels that are actually gripping. This thing's got 8, so you'd think it'd do a bit better. But I don't know if they've kind of gone a bit too harsh on the rev caps. Or, I mean, overall, it was not really the low end, even though it's a bit of a slow truck for my liking. It's just, yeah, I don't know, when you start picking up the speed a bit, just something's not quite right about it. And then I got caught on this rock, stick it in a low range with the diffs on. That's one thing I think really this truck could benefit from, is if they just put the diffs always on. I mean, that made the difference. To be fair, that rock was actually like a solid rock. Sometimes they, I don't know, they sort of phase through your wheels a bit, but that one was the real deal. But yeah, we got over that. Again, I couldn't handle the low ranges for too much longer. But you can see now, various wheels, they kind of bleed quite a bit of the power. The second axle wasn't spinning too quick there, the rear ones are going a bit quicker. So at this point I was just kind of playing around with it, yeah, high-low. It kind of needs a high-low. Or again, if it just had diffs on, at least you could be in the auto and actually have all the wheels coordinated. Just looking around, oh, it's got a super wanks bed. It's funny that rail on the I don't know, I know it's random, but I was talking to my brother the other day, Adam, and we were laughing about when I was a kid. Well, when we were all kids, it must have been in the early 90s. That's all I can remember. And I should have like kind of missed the boat for Halloween really, but I reckon I was about 5 years old-ish. So my brother would have been, I don't know, 7 or 8, and then Dave was about probably 11, 12, something like that. And yeah, I can't remember for the life of me where we were. I'll have to ask me mum or something when I see her next. We were somewhere though, some kind of like show going on, like a fairground type thing. And there was a ghost train thing going on, and it's one of those situations where if I could print the screenshot in my head, I can remember it clear as day, going like just standing outside looking, because yeah, it was like kind of, do you want to go on the ghost train? Like, well, I don't know what's going on in there. It's like, well, it's a surprise, and yeah, I didn't know at that age if I was keen on surprises or not. But in the end, me, Dave, and Ad went in there, and it wasn't particularly eventful. I just remember clearly outside of it and going in, and then we were driving. You're on like a little ghost train thing, but just going along these rails at like 5 miles an hour, and there was like things popping out and all the rest of it. But we were laughing our heads off because when we were going down there was some guy that was dressed in a skeleton costume, and he jumped on the back of the train. I don't know why, the rail in the passenger seat of this truck just reminded me there was like a handrail on the back of the train. And yeah, this guy jumped on, dressed as a skeleton, and started going like, rah! And Dave absolutely shit himself, and he turned around and punched the guy, but not, like, meaning to, just from sheer panic. Was like, as soon as this guy jumped out and screamed, Dave just punched him. Still got this memory of the guy just, like, lost all interest in being a skeleton actor for a ghost train. He just stepped off the train and kept putting his skeleton hand up to his nose, but obviously we couldn't see his nose because he had like a, I don't know, like a skeleton head balaclava thing on. And yeah, I just still remember it to this day. We were laughing about it. It must have been, again, I must have been like 5 years old-ish, maybe 6. So you're talking sort of 28, 29 years ago. And I still remember it clear as day. I assume that guy will as well. And yeah, bearing in mind, I mean, Dave was probably only about 11 or 12, but he was pretty big for his age, and he was like fully shaven at about 12 years old, like 5 o'clock shadow. So yeah, he wasn't small, and it was just, again, funny. It was the first time I'd ever seen anyone get punched, and it was a guy dressed as a skeleton. As I was cutting along the field now, I ran over this tree, just as you do. It's nice to be able to exercise your rights to run over trees. And yeah, it got me. Goddamn sons of bitches. And I was stuck pretty good. I kind of thought now, it happens every now and then, you have to sort of reverse out of it. But yeah, whatever they've dialed up in this game to do with trees that are on the ground, it absolutely caught. I edited it there because I was here for about 2 or 3 minutes trying to winch to different trees, and absolutely wasn't letting me go at all. Eventually I managed to get off it, and then I'm sure now, yeah, when I turn around, yeah, there you go, it phases into the floor. Like, really? Just done that like 3 minutes ago. Well, you can see from all the mud I've chewed up on the game. Yeah, back while I was rambling about the ghost train, I was looking at the revs. The revs don't actually seem that bad on this vehicle, assuming that they line up with what the game's actually giving you. But I'm sure it is revving up to about 15 to 1700, which doesn't sound too bad for a vehicle, especially like a big truck in the off-road, the advanced special gearbox. But I don't know. Again, I don't really know if it feels the same as like the rev cap situation. It's just sort of more top end. Can you see there, for example, it's sort of, as I've said in the past about, like, feels sort of like a clutch slip-in, which I know it isn't, but it's just how it kind of plays out, where you can hear the revs, feel like you should have X amount of power, and it just kind of takes it away from you, and I don't really know how that works, but personally, I wish they'd dial it up a little bit more. But yeah, we made it in the end. Like I said, it'd be nice if they spread out the locations that you've actually got to drop stuff off a little bit more. But other than that, it's an excuse to go around the map and try different vehicles, so it's not like a major complaint or anything. I just sort of find myself, yeah, doing the same laps really. And now going around, it's like, what kind of savage puts bloody tree stumps where I'm supposed to drop it off, the old tree stumps as well. Funnily enough, I never thought I'd say it, but I actually prefer those tree stumps to the new ones that are like skinnier, blend in more and catch you twice as much. Yeah, got it dropped off though. Overall money, not too bad considering it's a bit of a simple mission. And yeah, I won't be using this truck too much more. I still definitely prefer the Phoenix. But anyway, that's about it for today. I hope you enjoyed. I hope it helped. Thanks for watching. Thanks to my Patreon members. Get yourself a loaf because it's still a goddamn horse. And I'll be back soon.